The Jacksonville Jaguars made a bunch of moves in the offseason, and they're a hot team in the NFL. Can they actually win the AFC South? We're about to talk about it. You're watching the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. Hello and welcome to the MJ Take here on Sports Fan Entertainment, continuing the 32 teams in 32 days. Y'all thought I was kidding, but it should be pretty obvious at this point. Every single damn day, 7 p.m. Central, 8 o'clock Eastern, there will be a video up here. There will be a new team up here, and today it is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And as I said in the intro, they were making plenty of moves this offseason. They're a trendy pick to win the AFC South, to make the playoffs, to go over the hump. Will they do it? We're about to talk about it today, but I'll give you a little sneak peek and say I'm not so sure. But we're going to look at their team, we're going to look at their roster, we're going to look at their schedule, and we'll give you a win-loss prediction. And also there's going to be some statistical projections in the description box below, so make sure to look at those. So when I look at the roster, and we try to find strengths and weaknesses on this channel. That's how we like to do things. Number one, the strength, the biggest strength, and maybe the only strength, I think, is the wide receiving group. Okay, you have Allen Robinson, you have Allen Hurns. Those two Allens are absolutely tremendous. Allen Robinson, 1,400 yards last season. My goodness. I knew he was good, but man, I didn't know he was that good. Tremendous ability from him last season. Tremendous talent. He's only a second-year guy. Now he's going to his third year. I mean, oh my God, the roof. Where is it? I don't see it. Yeah, unfortunately for him, I guess, he has some other guys around him, so he won't ever be able to probably get like 2,000 or anything like that. But let's say he was on the Tennessee Titans and he was their only wide receiver. Oh, he could get 2,000 freaking yards. But, Blake Bortles is going to have to equally partition the reps and targets, so he won't do that. But we know this guy can play. We know that for sure. And Allen Hurns, man, the guy is just an absolute beast. The guy that really has a chip on his shoulder, being undrafted coming into the NFL. Or actually, was he undrafted or did he end up going in the 5th round? Either way, he has a chip on his shoulder, damn it. And we know that. And he came into the league and he's been really hot. And he's been greater than anyone ever expected him to be. And at the end of the day, these two wide receivers, they are the strength of this football team. And even behind them, you have some guys. You have Marquise Lee, who hasn't been able to stay healthy, but he was a second-round pick coming out of the 2014 NFL draft, and a guy that still has some potential to him. So I like that. You still also have Brian Walters, who played well in spot duty last year. Rashad Green is a guy that was a rookie last year, struggled a little bit, but I could see him definitely improving in his second season. So overall, the wide receiving core, definite strength for me. From there, things get a little murky for me, but I went with the tight ends. Okay, Julius Thomas really wasn't healthy last year, and also when he was on the field, I don't think he played very good up to his potential, but I still believe in Julius Thomas. This is a guy that as soon as he stepped foot on the Jaguars OTAs and training camp last year, everyone was talking about this guy looks like the best player on the entire football field, even better than Allen Robinson. So I still believe in Julius Thomas and his athletic ability and his just overall football ability. I think he's going to come back. I think he's going to play well. He's going to play better, and hopefully he can stay healthy, because if he can, that's yet another weapon for Blake Bortles to use. And behind him, you have Mercedes Lewis, who I've never been a big fan of, but as a number 2 tight end, I can buy into that discussion. Yes, definitely, he's one of the better number 2 tight ends in the league, so that's a nice tight end duo to have. From there, I don't think there's a true strength, but there are potential strengths. Number one, I'd say the cornerbacks. You have Prince Amukamara, who he signed for the New York Giants. He was a good starter for them for a number of years. I don't know why they were so eager to watch him go and why they would rather pay Janoris Jenkins so much money. I don't know why they decided to do that, but okay, fine. So Prince Amukamara, I think it may end up being your best corner this year. But there's another guy, a guy that I loved coming out of the draft, Jalen Ramsey. Oh my God. I was a big Jalen Ramsey fan. I'm a Tennessee Titans fan, and I wanted us to take Jalen Ramsey with the number 1 overall pick, but unfortunately we ended up with Jack Conklin with the 8th pick. Oh man, that's giving me nightmares. And Jalen Ramsey will continue those nightmares because I think this guy's going to be an absolute stud, potential Hall of Famer. Jalen Ramsey, I'm telling you, some people talk about he doesn't have ball skills. Guys, he was in, and I know this doesn't mean much, but he was in a skills competition against Corey Coleman and Will Fuller, and he beat those guys in terms of catching the football. On the football field, there were some dropped passes, but I just saw people not throwing the ball his way. And whenever they threw it his way, him just being so dominant to rather knock it down than intercept it. I think he's great. I think he's phenomenal. I think he's going to be great. He just needs to stay healthy because he had some problems in OTAs being healthy. If he's healthy, y'all look out. You still also have Devon House, who actually had a pretty good year last year. Dwayne Grass continues to be a little bit of a disappointment. Aaron Colvin, decent corner. So the cornerbacks could definitely end up being a strength, but I have to see because you still don't have that really good player yet. I think Jalen Ramsey could be that and will be that, but I have to see it first. So let me see it before I am able to say that. You also have a potential strength at the quarterback position. I won't label it as a strength yet because although Blake Bortles did have 35 touchdowns last season, still under 60% completion percentage, and boy, does that worry me because that's just not very sustainable. You don't see many guys under 60%. In fact, I don't think you see any guys under 60% for a number of seasons and continuing to have success in the NFL level. It really doesn't happen. And I think it's more of the offense that they're in, but also in terms of his mentality, you're not always willing to take the smaller play, the shorter play, extending drives, always looking for the home run a little too much for me. You know, a guy's passer rating that was only 88, that's very average in today's NFL. You need to see that number over 90 to be quite honest. Marcus Mariota for the Titans had a passer rating of 91.5, and it's because his completion percentage was higher. It's because, and because of that, you get more yards per attempt and all of that. So I need to see Blake Bortles' completion percentage rise. In fact, it even went down. You know, while his touchdowns went up, while his interceptions went up by one interception, but that's not much, his completion percentage went down by 0.3 points. So I need to see that completion percentage raised up. And also his ESPN QBR, where they look at, you know, in games and in the fourth quarter, and those plays are extrapolated and have more importance. His ESPN QBR was only a 46. You know, that's below average in the NFL. So I need to see him playing better, showing up more in these analytics, getting up that completion percentage. It means a lot. It does have tremendous value. I need to see more of that from him, and I believe I will, but that's not a strength yet. So I can't say Blake Bortles is a strength for this football team quite yet, but he definitely has the potential to be. We cannot doubt that. Another potential strength could be the defensive line. Malik Jackson, you signed him from the Denver Broncos, assuming, and this is an assumption now, he can transition from the 3-4 that they were running to the 4-3 and still be a good player, then yes, you know, we're talking about a guy that can definitely be a big-time player for you, but we see it every year. There is a bunch of free agents that come to new teams, change schemes, and they don't play well. And it's inexplicable, it's unexplainable, but it happens. And I think Malik Jackson can be a candidate for that. So just look out for that. And also on a defensive line now where he's the best player, he didn't have to deal with that. Even a front seven. This is a front seven where he's the best player. So when he's asked to be the best player, when he starts getting double teamed very often, how will he respond to that? I'm not quite sure yet. So I'm a little cautiously optimistic when it comes to Malik Jackson. You have a couple guys coming up. Dante Fowler Jr. You expect him to be good and healthy, and hopefully he is, but we'll see. I wasn't the biggest Dante Fowler fan coming out of college, so we'll see when it comes to him. Other side, you have Jared Odrick, really good run defender, but doesn't offer you much in terms of a pass rush, so you expect to sub him out on passing plays, and they're talking about playing third-round pick Yannick Ngakoue out of Maryland, and I think he's actually going to be a pretty good pass rusher in the NFL. I like that idea of switching out Odrick, switching in Ngakoue. I really like that idea. I think it's really going to work out for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Since Derek Marks tore his triceps last season and also had a torn ACL before that, he's having big injury problems, and his age is kind of getting up there right now. He looks like he's on the decline, but maybe he can get things together, and the defensive line can end up being a strength for this football team. Let's talk about some weaknesses, and number one for me would be the linebackers right now. Currently starting Paul Posluszny, who is really good in terms of coverage, actually. And this is something that people don't really look at. But when you look at the analytics and you look at the plays that he does in terms of covering tight ends like Dwayne Allen and Kobe Fleener and Delaney Walker, consistently a good guy in coverage, but run defense can be a little weak. So I expect to see more from him. You have Telvin Smith as your current, I think, weak side linebacker. They're talking about that they want to keep him there. I don't know how much I feel about that. I think Miles Jack would be a better fit for the weak side, and then Telvin Smith may be a better fit for, honestly, a situational role. But right now they're talking about starting Telvin Smith and then starting Miles Jack at the strong side. I don't know how I feel about that, because I think you want to take advantage of Miles Jack coverage ability, and then you really have to find a strong side linebacker that's good against the run right now, because I don't think you have one. So the linebackers to me is a concern. I like Miles Jack, I really do, but there are some injury concerns there. And just when it comes to right now, being able to stop the run, I'm not sure any of these guys are capable in the linebacking core. I think it's going to be an issue. Jared Odrick, he's capable. Malik Jackson's more of a pass rusher as well. So you have to look at that, and you have to say the run game might be a little bit of a problem for us. You also look at the back safeties right now. You have Tashawn Gibson that you signed from the Cleveland Browns. Guy played a lot of corner last year and wasn't very good at that. Really moving back to safety now. I like seeing that move, but we'll see, because 2 years ago he was playing safety. Last year he played a lot of corner. Can he transition back? We'll see. It's a little bit of a question mark right now. Jonathan Cyprian, current strong safety for them, has some issues. Not a big fan of him, but he can definitely be capable in some plays and make some plays throughout a game. So, we'll see, but I'm not a big Jonathan Cyprian fan. You move back to the offense. Let's talk about the offensive line. Offensive line, a little bit in flux. They're saying Luke Joeckel might move to guard, left guard, take over Mackenzie Bernardeau's spot. We'll see about that. I mean, I think Luke Joeckel just isn't very good. I don't think he's ever going to be very good. I think he's just a bust. I think that's just his story. So I'd rather just keep Mackenzie Bernardeau there, because I know what I'm going to get from him. He may not be very good. He may not be very consistent. I think Luke Joeckel is worse than that, especially when it comes to the possibility of changing positions. I'm not interested in that. Center right now, question. Brandon Linder currently slated to start there, so we'll see how he can play. But I think he's honestly maybe the best offensive lineman outside of Kelvin Beachum on one side. You have A.J. Cann at right guard right now. Really like that player. I think he was he got drafted last year in the 2015 NFL draft out of South Carolina. Like his run blocking ability. I actually like that spot. Jeremy Parnell, right tackle. Little bit of a question for me. Didn't play nearly as well as we thought he would last season. Really gave up a lot of plays, gave up a lot of sacks, gave up a lot of pressure. I need to see him play better. And by the way, this is an example of a player that you can say, yeah, look how he played for this team, goes in free agency, isn't quite as good. So before you say, well, we got Malik Jackson, he's going to be good. What happened to Jeremy Parnell? He's not very good. So these free agent signings can be very tricky. It's about 50-50 sometimes with these guys. So you have to look out for that. And we have running back position right now. TJ Yeldon currently supposed to start, but Chris Ivory, I think, is going to end up getting the majority of carries. And I like that, because Chris Ivory is the experienced back, and for a team that really has struggles closing games out in the fourth quarter, I think Chris Ivory should be the one to get the majority of the starts. But to be honest, I probably would have never signed Chris Ivory. I would have really liked to see TJ Yeldon grow, but at this point, you already signed Chris Ivory, you already gave him that much money, so you might as well give him the majority of the snaps anyway. Sorry, TJ Yeldon. So with that said, we're going to move on to the Jacksonville Jaguars schedule. But, looking at the roster, so there are some nice spots. Wide receiver, tight end. There are some questionable spots, though. The defensive line. We haven't seen Dante Fowler play. We haven't seen Yannick Ngakoue. We haven't seen Malik Jackson in a Jaguars jersey. So Derek Marks, injury issues. So there are still some questions there. Linebackers, some questions there. Safety, some questions there. So even though you've slotted guys, okay, you've definitely found names, and you've slotted guys, and you've slotted draft picks and all of that, there are some question marks. So just keep that in mind. So let's look at the schedule, and this is what I think is really going to limit how much better the Jaguars are this season. I think that this schedule is pretty freaking difficult. You're going up against the NFC North, which I believe would be the best division in the NFL. I think the Packers are a playoff team, Super Bowl contender. I think you'll agree with that. I think the Vikings are a playoff team, Super Bowl contender. I think you'll agree with that. I think the Bears are a playoff contender. In fact, I have them making the playoffs over the Vikings, by the way. That's been getting me in a little bit of trouble with some of you on Twitter, but I'm sticking with that. I think the Bears are better than the Vikings right now. So these are 3 playoff teams. Then you have the Lions, who aren't very good. I give you that. But they are scrappy and they are tough. And if their defense is rolling and Stafford is rolling, boy, can they upset you, especially when in Week 11 you're going to Detroit and you're facing them. So when you look at that, you guys may go 0-4 against the NFC North. I mean, it's really possible. I'm going to say 1-3. I'll say you go and you either go to Detroit and you win, or you upset the Vikings or Packers, which, by the way, is unlikely. But, hey, I say you do one of those things and you go 1-3. You go at Chicago. Guys, I'm a big fan of Chicago this year. Yeah, I'm really alone on this. I'm surprised that no one's seeing this. But when you add Kevin White and you add Gerald Freeman and you add Danny Trevathan in the second year in a 3-4 in another good draft, I'm telling you, I think the Bears are really going to be good. They're going to give a lot of teams problems. I have you losing to the Bears. You guys go up against the AFC West. Tough division, especially when you have to go to San Diego and you go to San Diego week 2, especially when you have to go to Kansas City and you go to Kansas City week 2. Now, I think you're actually going to defeat the Denver Broncos. I think you're going to sneak up on them. You're going to defeat them good. You're going to host the Raiders. It'll be close. It'll be tough, but I can see you guys actually upsetting them. So maybe about 2-2 against the AFC West. You are still in the AFC South. But I think at best you're 3-3 in the AFC South. I think you split with the Colts. I think you split with the Texans. I think you split with the Tennessee Titans. I think that's the story. I think there's no other debate. I really don't see anything other than that happening, unless if just by some miracle the Texans stink, the Titans stink, or the Colts stink. But I think they're all going to be middle of the road, mediocre, maybe a little better than mediocre teams. So I think it's 3-3. I don't have any doubt about that. And then you have 2 games, one against the third place team in the AFC East and one against the third place team in the AFC North, and that would be the Baltimore Ravens, and that would be the Buffalo Bills, right? Yeah, the Buffalo Bills in week 12. So one's at Buffalo and the other one is hosting the Baltimore Ravens. I don't know how that's going to play out, to be quite honest with you. You could lose both, you could win both. I'm going to go with the split. So you churn out that record. It's about 7-9, and that's what I'm going with. But I'll tell you this. Best case scenario, I see you guys could go 9-7. And I think that would win the AFC South. I have currently a team, I'm not going to say which team yet, but I have a team winning the AFC South at 9-7. And I think 9-7 is really going to win the AFC South this year, just because the AFC South goes up against the NFC North and the AFC West. Those are tough divisions, and I don't think the AFC South is ready for that. So even though the AFC South has made so many strides and improvements, man, those are 2 tough divisions, man. I think those are the 2 toughest divisions in the NFL. I mean, maybe the NFC West can make an argument, but those are pretty tough, man. So I don't love it. I don't love this the Jaguars' chances of winning the AFC South, but I think it's possible. So I say best case scenario 9-7, you win the AFC South. Maybe even 10-6, maybe. But that's if Myles Jack and Jalen Ramsey are great, all-time great from the get-go. So 10-6 is a possibility, but I'm going to doubt it because Gus Bradley, we haven't talked about him yet. I think he kind of limits your team. And I think you agree. I mean, guys, you won 5 games last year. You won 3 games the year before that. You won 4 games the year before that. So you went 4-3-5. He's not a very good football coach. I mean, you've been rebuilding and the roster's been getting better. You guys went 5-11 last year because I thought he was poor in terms of game management last year, in terms of the fourth quarter, in terms of putting guys where they need to be. I think offensively, Greg Olsen kind of limits the efficiency of this offense. Earlier, I talked about Blake Bortles, how he can't get over 60%. I think a lot of that is on this Greg Olsen offense. So I like 7-9. And I say worst case scenario is 6-10 because you will improve upon last season. Assuming you're healthy, you're going to do it. If Blake Bortles gets injured, y'all are in trouble. But if you're healthy, yeah, okay, 6-10, worst case scenario. So I'm gonna go with 9-7 to 6-10, but my prediction is 7-9. I like that prediction. It's an improvement. It's a 2-win improvement. But until Gus Bradley's out of there, and until I really see some of these players solidify themselves, I can't go playoffs. And honestly, I don't know how you could either. So there you go. This has been the MJ Take on Sports Fan Entertainment. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe for more videos every single day, Monday through Sunday, here, 7 p.m. Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. New video, 32 teams, 32 days. This is how I do. This is how we do here on Sports Fan Entertainment. They're playing my music, and you know what that means. Until next time, I'm out. Peace.